from Bob. An aircraft letter. Oh, nothing very much. So I'll read it to you. It's short enough. Can you hear me okay? Dear Mom and Dad, just a few lines to say hello and tell you what I've been doing. Thanks for a parcel. I got your letter telling me about it at the same time. Was very glad to get the socks and cigarettes. I can sure use both. The boys in my outfit are a great bunch of fellows. We've just finished a special training course, and we are looking forward to
You know how it is, folks. When you get down to writing a letter home, you find there are so many things you either can't write or just don't write. There are 1,000 little things which all of us boys over here think of more or less as daily routine and hardly as news for home. Those setting up exercises on raw winter mornings, for instance. Boy, how my pal Henri Paquette from Montreal used to love them. And the more spectacular hardening up training over courses blocked with some pretty tough obstacles. We seldom think to mention those in a letter. We do them every day. Although to hear Joe Williams groan, you'd never think so. And for all I've written, I bet you folks picture me washing my own DVDs in some handy stream. But even the laundry is mechanized. Each of our divisions has its own washing machine, a giant laundry on wheels. And I've seen one of them wash and dry my platoon's clothes while we were in for a swim, all within an hour. Yes, almost any way you look at it, we're cared for okay. The medical corps, for instance, is up to the minute in its equipment. And if you are unlucky enough to get sick or hurt, well, you know you'll get the best possible treatment. Then there's food. I once saw them breaking bulk in an Army food supply depot. I never realized what a big thing feeding a platoon is, to say nothing of a whole army. A soldier has to eat properly, no matter where he is, in barracks or on the battlefield. But I've yet to see one who lost weight on it. That's quite a record. I saw Dorothy Clark the other day. Remember, she used to live around the corner. She's with the CWACs over here. Does office work at headquarters and likes it fine. But she'd like it better if she could take a shot at the enemy like the men. The Canadian Women's Army did great work helping the English harvest last fall. Put a lot of the men to shame. And many of our girls have volunteered for civilian firefighting work and proven they're as handy with a stirrup pump as they are with a typewriter. All last summer, we saw a great deal of General McNaughton, commander of the Canadian Corps. He went everywhere, saw everything, on parade, watching maneuvers, discussing new equipment with mechanics in workshops. Something was in the wind. Just what? None of us knew then. Something the Canadian Army had been given to do. In the early morning darkness of August 19th, 1942, we set sail in a small auxiliary vessel from an English Channel harbor. The whole thing had been kept strictly secret, but we did know that it was important and big stuff. As Joe Williams said, the excitement was so thick you could almost feel it with your hand. With the coming of the first dawn light, we found ourselves heading for the coast of France. Soon after, they told us what our job was to be: a raid in the towns of Orangeville, Bruneval, and Dieppe. It was still early morning. Around, we could see hundreds of ships like our own, escorted by units of the Royal Navy. A stray German bomber flew over the convoy. It was attacked by RAF fighters and ack-ack from our escorting ships. Our great fleet now lay practically motionless in the pale morning light. Ships almost as far as you could see. waiting for the order to commence landing operations. Just before 5 a.m., the order came to man the landing craft. Huddled near me were two boys I'd met from B.C. Old Joe was right beside me like a shadow, and all those others from back home, fellows I could call pal, even if I didn't know their names. Then things cut loose. We were storming the beaches with the thunder of the big guns shaking the sands as we rushed across them. Then came the planes, RAF and RCAF, flying in low. Bombs began ripping the German defenses, tearing holes through which we could advance. They say it was the greatest air battle of the war. Joe and I were too busy to take any notice. I was in carried through to its objective under terrific fire and did what it had to do. Those 9 hours ashore seemed like 9 minutes. And when we sailed away, we left the littered beaches to remind the Germans that we had punched one hole in Hitler's fortress and that it wouldn't be the last. We were back in Britain again. There was a little time for relaxation, but even our relaxation was an active one. Our fellows played football with English and Norwegian teams or held their own inter-regimental sports. Perhaps not up to Olympic Games standard, but darn good fun anyway. I've seldom written you how the folks over here treat us. That's too big a subject for any one letter. But to put it mildly, they've made us feel at home. And we've got to know many of them really well, especially the girls. We used to hear that British girls couldn't dance worth a hoot. But those I've stepped out with were swell dancers, although Henri says there are better jitterbugs in Montreal. He should know. There were full dress occasions, too, like when masked Canadian pipe bands, men from such regiments as the Toronto Scots, Nova Scotias, the Calgarys, and others, put on a bang-up display in London's Hyde Park. Behind all our lighter moments, whether playing or parading, was the knowledge of our real business, our part in the big offensives to come. We've been hearing a lot lately about large-scale amphibious operations. For the ordinary soldier, that means advancing to the battle area, across water, landing heavy equipment, and moving inland to meet the enemy. Our Canadian Army maneuvers have always been designed to accustom us to this sort of fighting. Maneuver is quite a jumble to the individual taking part in it. Your platoon, a squad, becomes a checker in a vast checkerboard hundreds of miles square, and you're moved into play by the general staff. They've got radio communications and aerial reconnaissance to give them the only full picture of the action. Mechanized forces are moved rapidly in from the beaches over hilly country in readiness for the attack. Miles away, the tanks of the defending forces rumble into line in some well-hidden valley. Your own force has a special job to do before it can break through, and you edge forward silently through thick woods. Ahead are your scouts. A small enemy detachment is entrenched in a farmhouse, straight in your line of advance. You've got to get them out of it. Down at that farm, they're waiting for you. You take to a ditch, skirting the farm's fields. It's dirty going, but you're glad of the protection. They haven't seen you yet. Then there's a quick sprint across a bit of field, and you close in on the farm. You search every nook and cranny of it and start to clear out the prisoners. Since you were about 3 to their 1, it was an easy job, but it might have been the other way around. Now the enemy artillery opens fire, and your universal carriers swing out to start the main advance. The enemy sends over planes with bombs, machine gun trucks, moving some of your men around the enemy's flank. Mortar squads get through this okay and quickly take up positions. They send out scout rangefinders with telephone equipment and are soon ready to harass the enemy from an angle he won't like. Your squad has taken cover well into enemy territory. An unsuspecting enemy column is caught in a trap and scatters under your fire. Forward through country that's smoking like a rubble heap. Enemy tanks are crashing through now on all sides, and the whole world seems bursting with noise. You get the feeling in every crowded second that you're learning new things about your job. Things as necessary to you as courage itself in the real battle you'll be fighting, perhaps tomorrow.
Hello, dear.
Hello, dear.
What do you know today?
Not very much, but there is an aircraft involved.
June the 15th, eh? Quick. How has he been?
Very quiet. There hasn't been much doing lately.
Quiet, eh? I wonder. I bet I know somebody else who's been wondering too.
Who's that?
Hitler.